Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. The word for today's video is disproportionate. You know, the media has this ability to distort things. They can use their power to make something seem a lot more prevalent, a lot more popular than it actually is. For instance, police brutality or the shooting of unarmed black men. It happens maybe a handful of times a year, it's a very small issue, and for the most part there's a whole lot of nuance to these cases, but the media blows it completely out of proportion, gives it disproportionate coverage, especially when it fits their race narrative, and so people think that it's a bigger problem than it actually is. They have this unique power through disproportionate coverage to really change perspectives out there. And now, speaking of disproportionate, where I'm getting at with this is the disproportionate popularity of someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You see her everywhere. I mean, she's on the cover of every magazine. You think she's a superstar, the most popular person on the planet, probably right under Greta Thunberg, but at the end of the day, it's all media manufactured. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not nearly as popular as you might think. In fact, I think she's a whole lot more unpopular than the disproportionate media coverage would make you believe. It's actually very similar to Joe Biden, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just showed up to do an event at what seemed to be, I don't know, an auditorium, possibly in a school, maybe a university. And well, nobody really showed up. The auditorium was basically empty, and some of the people that did show up were actually far left previous AOC supporters who handed Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez yet again another massive optics loss, another PR blunder, a hugely embarrassing moment as AOC goes from anti-establishment political outsider to deep state Washington establishment shill. And even her own voters are noticing it. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. In another humiliating moment for AOC, we've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so let's first start off with the attendance. I mean, for Pete's sakes, nobody showed up. You'd think it was a Biden rally. Take a look at this.
That our district represents. Out of about 1 million people, I'm only allowed to nominate 5. Put forward 5 names to West Point. 5 names. 5 names to West Point. 5 names to.
Look, they want to shut us up.
5 names to the Air Force Academy, etc. So our community, what we do is that we have a community committee made up of former service members.
See what I mean by disproportionate? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I thought, was supposed to be the Michael Jackson of the political world. One of the most popular figures out there with a cult following. She announces this event and nobody shows up. Doesn't exactly seem like such an incredible political figure that's destined for greatness and taking over the Democrat Party and becoming the next president, or the first female president, which is what most of the copium leftoids keep telling us. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one big laughingstock. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. And not only was the fact that people didn't show up a totally embarrassing moment, but the people that did show up, even left-minded folk, her socialist supporter base, weren't exactly enthused with her. This also happened.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no? There is no line, because this is bullshit. None of this matters if we're all dead. None of it. You know that. Then And let's take it up right now, because this is the only thing that matters. This is the only thing that matters right now. We could be in a nuclear war at any minute, and you continue to fund it. That's what's going on. Why not right now? You're the liar here. Nobody has held you accountable. That's what's happening. And it is time for you to stand up and realize that what you've been saying has been lies. Let your conscience come through for once.
Remember what I was saying just the other day? How Democrats are looking like early 2000s establishment warmongers? Yeah, well, it's starting to happen. I mean, the left is supposed to be the hippie side, and how are they now supposed to cope with the fact that the American left is pro-military industrial complex and continuing to fund this war in Ukraine? And of course, continuing to escalate the war instead of trying to reach peace treaties and negotiations. It's not exactly a good look for them, and AOC is looking incredibly disingenuous once again. Her voting track record has been abysmal from a far-left perspective. She's constantly giving in to the establishment. Nancy Pelosi plays her like a damn fiddle. She pretends to be the anti-establishment far-left wokey, but when it really comes down to it, she always ends up supporting the establishment. Every single time. And we've covered previous instances of this in the past. AOC seems to be turning into a different person in Washington. You know, she started off as the young, vibrant socialist, going to Washington to change the system, to take it to the man. And in a couple more decades, she's essentially going to be Nancy Pelosi, somebody who worked in government for 40, 50 plus years, amassed a net worth of $300 million. By then, it's probably going to be $1 billion, considering current inflation rates, coming into politics with all of these high hopes and expectations to change the world through her frame of idealism, and eventually being worn down by Washington politics and just becoming yet again another establishmentarian corporate Democrat. What a surprise! Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is turning out to be a fraud. Who would have seen that one coming? Poor AOC, I mean, her entire career has been that of failure, not being able to pass a single bill, and utter humiliation. I mean, I literally can't think of a single Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez PR or optics win. When's the last time she had good press? Every single time it's nothing but drama and embarrassment. And here we go again, more embarrassment, and I'm surprised by her reaction. I'm surprised she hasn't taken to Twitter to write,
Here's your word, here's your word.
I was murdered.
You were murdered. Okay,
somebody called me a warmongering establishment Democrat. I was murdered. They tried to kill me. Seems as though Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is learning a lesson, possibly, to just let things slide and move on instead of doubling down and making things worse for yourself. But of course, jokes aside, this whole idea that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a thought leader or serious political player has been a farce since the start. I mean, look across all Western nations. Far-left politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez do not represent even close to the mainstream in any Western nation. These young, far-left activist types get all kinds of media coverage. They get put on all of these magazines as these heroic, incredible figures. But when it really comes down to it, AOC probably wouldn't be able to get more than 5 or 6% of the vote in a Democrat primary. Even her own political party can't stand her. We're talking about naive, fringe, extreme ideas, far left-wing radicals, who the mainstream media would have you believe are superstars, able to fill up Madison Square Garden in the snap of a finger. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's supposed to be the face of these far-left superstars, can't even fill what seems to be a high school auditorium.
Wow.
They're not as popular as they think, and if the media didn't constantly have their thumb on the scale or their foot on the scale, the political landscape, the political world would be a whole lot different. I'll just leave it at that, and the rest is up to your interpretation. And it's actually crazy how much power and influence the mainstream media has, if only they would use it for good. That's what I got for you guys in this video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.